Welcome to IROC Business with Confidence, the podcast where passion meets profit without the pressure of a big price tag. I'm your host, Corey Fonville Foster, transformational speaker, certified business coach, trainer, and the CEO behind the mic. In every episode, we dive deep into the heart of entrepreneurship, bringing you stories, strategies, and tips to monetize your passions while maintaining your budget. Whether you're a budding entrepreneur or looking to scale up, this is your go-to resource for affordable sales and marketing strategies. Join us as we interview small business experts from around the globe, sharing their journeys, challenges, and the solutions that propelled them to success. IROC Business with Confidence podcast is here to demystify the process of running a successful business on a budget. Get ready to transform your entrepreneurial dreams into reality, one episode at a time. Hey guys, Corey Fonville Foster here, your host, and I'm so excited that you are back with us for another episode. So welcome to the IROC Business with Confidence podcast, where today's episode features Alicia Stingley, a seasoned financial advisor and wealth mentor. Alicia's journey from overcoming personal financial hardships to becoming a multi-million-dollar investor is nothing short of inspiring. She's on a mission to empower midlife professionals and businesswomen to build wealth and create passive income streams. With her no judgment zone approach and over 20 years of industry experience, Alicia brings in an invaluable insight into achieving financial freedom. Get ready to unlock the secrets of investing and wealth creation today. Let's go ahead and bring her up. Hello.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm good. I'm half excited and half scared for our talk today because I will admit I am not the best with managing my finances, but that's why we have amazing experts like you to look. I love that you're no judgment zone. Like you're gonna give us the real, but hopefully not hurt our feelings.
Nope. I'm gonna try.
But we're gonna be ready. We're not gonna be triggered, guys. We are going to listen and learn and grow. But before we dive in, I always love to give our guests a chance to kind of reintroduce themselves to our audience, but also let us know what got you into business.
Yeah, first of all, I want to thank you for the invitation to be here, right? And I want to thank the listeners and the people watching. You said yes to yourself. And because you're here, you're ready to learn something and you have a growth mindset. So I appreciate you for that. And what I like to share in my story is kind of long, but we got a little bit of time, so we'll settle in. And I like to share, I first would like to say I absolutely love my life, right? I'm truly blessed. And, I'm living the life of my dreams. I relocated to Charlotte, North Carolina last year. And I was able to bring my 2 daughters and 3 of my grandkids to live here with me. And work is optional. So I'm able to get up in the morning, take my oldest grandkids to school, come home, hang out with my baby granddaughter. She had right? And I'm able to do that because work is optional for me, because I've structured myself, because I get passive income and I'm able to live a life of ease and flow now. And I've been able to retire from the hustle and grind. I treat my family to vacations. I even include my ex-husband. Yeah, I do. And, and I've been able to tell my story different places around the world. And I'm just really fortunate in that. My life truly is golden, right? But it hasn't always been this way. I was raised in your normal working class family, right? Like my dad worked first shift as a machinist. Mom was worked third shift as respiratory therapist. So somebody was always home. And we lived a comfortable life, but we weren't taught much about money. I don't know about you out there, but we just weren't taught about money. But what I saw was hard work, right? I saw them working hard to give us a good life, and we had a good life. And so what they taught me was to work hard and to go to college so I could get a better job, right? That pursuit of the middle class. And so that's what I did. I followed the rules. I got a full scholarship to college, got a job in pharmaceutical sales. Right after that, got married, became a stay-at-home mom to our 4 kids. And then I worked part-time when my youngest was 4. We lived a comfortable life, right? Until the bottom fell out. My husband lost his job and he decided to pursue entrepreneurship. And because I knew that was something he always wanted to do, I supported that. But unfortunately, our money did not support that, right? And so all of a sudden, overnight, I'm like the full sole provider of a family of 6. But the math wasn't mathing because I was literally only making like 30-some thousand a year. And, I just felt stressed. And although I wanted to support my husband at the time, I was stressed, depressed, like all of that, right? And we wound up having to be on welfare, wound up, bill collectors, foreclosure, repossession, like all of the things, and eventually got divorced. And being the good middle class woman that I was, I thought that more education was the answer, right? So I went back to school, got not one, but 2 master's degrees because that was going to help me get a better job. And then I got not one, but 2 jobs. And so I'm building, I'm working hard, I'm taking care of my 4 kids. I get off of welfare, no more food stamp card, like hallelujah, right? And, I was feeling a great measure of pride about that and just feeling better about the direction of my life in general. And one day just got paid at the grocery store, hundreds of dollars worth of food, and my card was declined. I'm like, hold up now. Hold up. I just got paid. And y'all read through that, right? You got money. You think you're supposed to have enough money for whatever it is, and your card gets declined. I was like, oh my God. And I just knew it would be sorted out, right? So I asked the lady to put my groceries in the freezer and I'd be right back. But I go and I call the bank only to find out that my accounts were wiped out, completely 100% wiped out. The IRS had taken every penny I had due to my ex-husband's taxes. taxes, taxes, taxes. But this was the first time in my life that I literally had nothing, like zero. I had no credit cards. I had nothing. And for the first time in my life, I had to beg people for money. And I say beg because I literally had to beg, right? Family and friends. I was always, no matter what happened to me, I always had something, right? Always had something. But I literally had nothing. And so I vowed in that moment to never be in that situation again. It became clear to me that working and education and it just wasn't it. Just wasn't happening. And I had to do something different. And it was driven home for me even more so when finally, after a couple of months, I had to declare bankruptcy because I just couldn't, right? Because when you get, I don't know if y'all been there, but once you get off welfare, like all the collection people can come after you, right? I could put them off as long as welfare, but then you get off welfare and it's like, here they come. I couldn't do it. So I wound up filing bankruptcy. And if that wasn't bad enough, a few months later, my youngest son was killed at the age of 16. And that sent me into a tailspin. It really did. And I just continued to work those 2 jobs, going through the motions, barely surviving, right? Work was kind of my salve and I kept busy. And I did that for like 2 years, just kind of going through the motions. And one day I cried out to God and he said, you know what? It's time for you to live your life. You have permission to not only live, but enjoy your life. And so I was resolved to live the kind of life that my son wasn't able to live. And that wound up with me deciding that I'm just going to get one job, just one, not 2, just one, right? And put that MBA in finance to good use. And so I got a job as a financial advisor. And in that job, I had the advantage and privilege of advising hundreds of women. But I found that most didn't have the knowledge, the pay, the portfolio, or the wealth as their male counterparts. Even the ones who were high earners, they became the family bank. I don't know if any of y'all like that or you know anybody like that, right? Once you become the one in your family that make it, it's like, can I borrow what you got? Can you spot me if you're right? It's like that. And then I found a lot of women they had competing priorities, especially those midlife women. They're taking care of parents, they're taking care of kids, some of them taking care of grandkids. And because they were deferring a lot of decisions to their partners, they were just behind the eight ball. They didn't know what was happening with their money, right? And I just really developed a burden for women, people of color, and the disenfranchised. And I saw so many of them because through that job, I was able to talk to everybody from the CEO, the real estate developers, all the way down to the custodians. And I was able to see the difference and how the wealthy handle their money. I learned from mentors how to apply all of that knowledge that I had gained. And I learned how to make money for my clients. And in the process, learned how money works. I learned how to make money work for me, how to work smarter instead of harder. And I have never worked two jobs again. And Lord willing, I never will. And so I learned how to create passive income. And as you mentioned, I went from bankrupt and completely starting over financially to having a multi-seven-figure net worth and living my best life. And I live off of passive income. And it's all because I learned how to play chess with my money.
Okay.
Hey, because I learned we ain't even playing the right game. We don't even know the rules. That's why we ain't winning. We can't win till we learn how to play chess. So that's a long little story to tell you how I came to be where I am. Because I even learned in that position that they don't meet the needs of women of color. They don't meet the needs of people who ain't got $1 million or $500,000 to invest, right? And and in our culture, or even in the entrepreneurial culture, something we have different needs, right? And a lot of times what's understood ain't got to be said. So I wanted to be that person that understands, right? So that's why when you say no judgment zone, ain't got no judgment, because Alicia done been rock bottom, okay? So oh, I'm on judge, right? I done been there, done that, wrote the book, got the t-shirt, all of that. So I just have a burden. And then being an entrepreneur, like I said, we have a whole nother set of financial issues and planning for our retirement. There are retirement accounts you can still have if you're not in corporate and things like that. So those are the things I like to help people with. So long story short, that's how I came to be where I am and how I decided to start my business. And that's who I'm burdened for.
I appreciate that you told us the full story. I think it wouldn't have been as impactful had you just given snippets. A lot of times people don't want to be transparent and say, I made the mistakes, but I feel like it makes us more comfortable to share our own stuff. We don't feel like embarrassed, because as you were talking, I was like, I remember having to be like, can I get that EBT card? can you slow
Right.
I definitely remember.
Now healthcare ain't no joke, right?
It's crazy to me when I see, and we're not gonna go into politics, but when I see people talking about people wanting to be on welfare, wanting food stamps, nobody that I've met wants to be on it. A lot of times we are fighting tooth and nail to get out of needing it. It's just, it's great that we have that. Right. I gave myself 1 year. I got an affordable housing. I got my EBT card. I got myself together. I did like you. I went and got more education. We're gonna talk about that.
Right.
But
still paying for it. Right?
Exactly. They never gonna get that money. They not gonna get it. I'm just, these loans, they're gonna have to find.
I'm gonna stay on that payment plan until I die.
Exactly. You get that couple dollars a month. That's it. You're not gonna get it. But yeah, but
right, they're not gonna get it.
I appreciate that you said it though, because I think so many people can relate to the mistakes they made in their youth. And also the fact that a lot of us grew up with either low or mid income families that just didn't have the knowledge to help us. And so, yeah, I totally get that bankruptcy. I totally get, hiding from the creditors, doing all the things, swiping that card and hoping that it goes through. I sit there like, oh, and they don't know, I don't know. We gonna hope that we can pay for these groceries.
We'll find out. Take this bag. Take this bag.
It's funny though, when I used to work at the grocery store, I used to get mad at people that did that. Like, they don't know how much they got. And then I had kids and I was like, oh, snap. Can you put this at the front? And we're going to see. We just going to keep looking. And when I get to a number, that's it. Put that stuff back. So I totally get it. But something you said that really hit me was you said, I followed the rules. And when I went on your website, I actually put a screenshot of that, because on your website, it says, I followed the rules, but the game changed. And I think so often we are told
in our young adult years, like go to school and, then you'll be able to get a good job or, get married and, you're going to have this 2 income household and everything's going to be great. That white picket fence, the 2 kids, all the things. And it's like, but that's not what happens, because you get out here and you realize not everybody's playing the same game as you. You're working every day, busting your butt, and somehow you're still not making progress. You're not able to get the things that you deserve to have. And so I love that you talked about that, because you followed the rules. You went to school, you married the man, you did all the things, but life just had other plans. So you mentioned like passive income. And I think that's one of everybody's favorite thing. Like, we want to make money while we sleep. But what are some of the common challenges to even getting in a place where you can have passive income? What are you seeing when you work with your clients, or even things that you may have experienced in your own life?
Interestingly enough, one of the first problems or hurdles I have to get over with a lot of my clients is the mindset. And I know you probably hear that, but it's for real, right? Because you have to make that shift from thinking that making money is hard. You have to make that shift from I have to work for the money. You have to make that shift to making money work for you, because that's a wealth mindset. And the education ain't doing it, right? The hard work ain't doing it. You have to learn how to make your money work for you. And not only that, you really have to learn about money. And you have to not take care of, but you have to know where you stand with your relationship with money. And people don't understand you have a relationship with money. Yes, you do. Just like you do with other people, yourself, your higher power. You have a relationship that you have to maintain, that you have to take care of, that you have to nurture. I always tell people I love my money and my money loves me, because I love my money. I take care of my money and my money take care of me, right? So I can't just be like, all like this and think my money gonna be there when I just want to go do whatever. No, I have to take care of my money, and it's a daily decision. And another thing that I tell people is understand the role of money. And for example, money in and of itself has no value. It's what you exchange for money that has value. And some people value things more than they value others. But money in and of itself has no value. So therefore, money in and of itself is not good or evil. It's your intention behind it. It's the person that uses it. So we kind of got to even change our mindsets, right? And think about going back to, and yeah, we ain't gonna blame everything on our mom and daddy, but there are some things we learned growing up that we have to break, right? We have to break some chains, we have to break some curses, and we have to break and change our mindsets. Because like I said, I was taught work, or we're told money don't grow on trees, or whatever, right? Make it and spend it, and you can't take it with you. It's like whatever kind of stuff. When we grew up, we have to break that, because I'm gonna tell you something, especially that I see in our culture, is we tend to we want to flex and floss and wear. We want to consume our money. So that's another shift we have to make. We have to make the shift of, I'm going to invest my money in something that's going to pay me back. I'm not going to just spend my money on stuff that is not going to show up for me, that has no return on the investment. Now, I'm all for a good pair of shoes. I'm all for a good trip, right? Nice car. But those things really don't have no return on that investment. So really thinking of, now, if I invest in the car company, I invest in the shoe company, that's different. That's the kind of shift and mindset that we have to develop if we want to create passive income. That's first step.
Wow.
I know I talk.
Now, some people listening is sitting over there like clutching their pearls, like, oh, she talking about me. Yes, she talking about all of us. Yes, she is.
Right.
I think that you hit the nail on the head talking about, things, because I'm thinking like, dang, we grew up in the same household. But yeah, just all of those sayings. And I even remember thinking when I was younger that everybody I knew had this feeling of like people who had money were evil or bad. And so then when you go to try to make money, you're like, am I bad? Am I evil? And it's like those mentalities of money, like you said, being good or bad. It's like, no, the money has to do with the people behind it and how they're using it. It doesn't make you inherently wrong just because you're trying to better yourself and your family. And I think a lot of us go into this area of life with some guilt or with some some pause, like, oh, how does this make me feel, to be trying to better myself. And then also, as you kind of talked about when you talk about like credit cards and stuff, I'm like, I remember when I was younger, my grandmother used to tell me, like, don't you go get no credit card, because you'll mess up your stuff. And then when I got older and needed a credit card, people were like, you've never had a credit card? I'm like, no, I hit my 30s and never had owned a credit card. And then ain't nobody want to give me one. Because they like, credit card, because that's what I told my grandma. Told me never to get one.
Credit,
no credit, and now I want to buy a house. Give me a credit card, and they don't trust you. So it's like we have to stop. And it's not, and I want to say it's not the older generation's fault for what they said. We have to remember where they came from. Not very long ago, we weren't able to purchase houses and land and do all the things. So they were stuffing money under mattresses and pillowcases and whatnot. And it wasn't that many generations ago. So I get where they were coming from. But now those same methods don't work for our benefit, and we do have to shift our mindset. So I love that you tackle those things and saying, like, we got to change our mindset a little bit. We got to relearn some things and kind of shift to playing the game everybody else is playing. Because I'm gonna be honest, if my mom watches this, no shade, mom, but I used to be like, why wasn't I born white? why wasn't I born like they wheeling out the lake house and they paying for their kids' college, like. And I'm not saying that white people have it all. I get, like, not everybody's rich, but as a young Black girl that grew up in the hood for quite a bit of time, I just, what I saw on TV, and what I assumed was that they were living this life where they were going on big vacations and they had yachts and country clubs. And how did they have this, but we eating bologna sandwiches? And what I'm saying? And we our trip is to go down to the beach, and all we had money was to bring our own fried chicken with us. Like, why is that there? And I didn't realize that my people didn't have the information, right? They weren't empowered with the information. Do things, and we have to be honest about that. So I love that you're in this space. That's why you can talk as much as you want. You see, I talk a lot too. I love that you're talking about.
Right. Go ahead. Because it's the information, and it's also the access, right? Yeah. We didn't have the access to capital. We didn't have the access to be in the room with where all the deals are made and where all the knowledge was obtained. We didn't have the access, right? We didn't have the access to, well, we've had the access to the stock market, but we didn't have the knowledge, right? So like you said, we're the mattress and the cookie jars and, whatever else is where the money was kept, because we didn't trust, because a lot of them too, remember, had come through the Depression. So it's like, I don't trust the bank. I don't trust the bank with my money, right? And so even now, though, putting your money in the bank, you may get, we're getting some pretty good yields on savings accounts. You're going to get 4%, but that's barely going to beat inflation. So that's another reason why, right? Just the mattress and the cookie jar and even the savings account is not going to give you, or not going to create wealth. It's not going to build up enough passive income for you. You have to invest it in something that's going to give you higher returns.
So you talked to us a little bit about, we have to first tackle our mindset, but we're all about like implementation here. So if we get our mindset in check and we realize we want to make a change, I call it adulting. I told you before we started, I started adulting in my 30s. I made a shift and said, I'm gonna start acting right. Let me get my house in order. If people are ready to start, being a grown up and adulting the way we need to, after they get their mindset in check, what should they do? Because if I say, okay, I'm working a job, right? Whether it's a 2-income house or 1-income house, I have a job. I understand that I want to have financial freedom one day, even though, it may be down the line. I don't want to live paycheck to paycheck. Where do I even begin?
Yeah. Well, obviously where you need to begin is, getting some kind of, like we talked about, knowledge. So you have to be intentional about getting the knowledge that you need wherever you are, right? Some of us do have a little bit more knowledge or skill than others, right? Like I had literally have always been good with money, like always. So to be that person like on welfare and broke, and it was like, oh my God, right? I'll always been a hard worker, always been good with money, always, save all of that. But not everybody has that same type of thing, right? So get with somebody, get an accountability partner, get a coach, take a course. There's a lot of free information out there, but I will caution you on, YouTube University and Google Academy to, getting all of your information there, because you will be duct taping some stuff together, and this guru gonna tell you that, and this guru gonna tell you that. So find somebody you can vibe with, and they sound like they got a little bit of sense. And follow that person, take their course, because you do need to invest, I would say. And if it's not always your money, it's your time. You're going to have to invest to get the skill to just basically manage your money, if that's where you are. And then of course, then you need to get knowledge and education on the different types of passive income that are out there.
Yeah, and I think people need to hear the word invest, because people always want it for free, especially in our community. I feel like, but if you're trying to help the community, why isn't it free? Because people pay. When the people pay, they pay attention. I know people don't like to hear that, but it's true. When we give away things for free all the time, people are like, okay, I might check this out, or I might follow this. When you put your money in it, right? You put some skin in the game. Oh, you want your money back. And so you're going to do the work. You're going to listen. You're going to focus. You're going to try everything and then try again. And so, yes, sometimes you do have to invest, but you're investing in your future. And there's a difference between cost and invest. Cost, you just throwing money out. Your shoes cost money, like you said. That new outfit, that costs money. But when you invest, there means there's a return. And so I really want us to start shifting our mindset. I get that it may hurt this moment, but some of us, let's just be real. Let's just not go out to eat for a little bit. Let's maybe not go shopping. Let's maybe, instead of having steak, let's have ramen noodles a couple times a month. Sometimes we just have to be honest, because we don't want to do the things that are uncomfortable. We want to keep living this life, and we don't want to have to pause it or back up a little bit in order to move forward. So I have to be real sometimes, because I had to do it, and it hurt. It hurt physically. It hurt mentally. It hurt
physically. It just hurt my body.
I like to buy stuff, and it was like, but do you want to buy this house? And I was like, I do want to buy this house. And
that's right.
Sometimes we have to sacrifice in order to have to play the long game. And so I love that you said that, because people don't want to hear that. They want to hear this is free, this is quick, 30 days you'll be a millionaire. No, you're not.
Right.
You're probably not. If you are, I don't know what you're doing, and the IRS will find out. But we just have to be honest. I love that you've been in this for 20 plus years, and you've also lived the life where you've implemented the things that you teach, and you've shown through your lifespan that these strategies work. Because I'm a big person, like show me you there. Like I don't like going to, say for instance, I don't want to go, because I'm a big girl. If you can't see me, I'm a big girl. I don't want to go work out with a trainer who's never been big. You don't know my struggle. So hearing somebody tell me they're going to coach me on finances, and they've never been poor, they've never had to work for it, they've never had to figure out a way when there wasn't a way, I don't want to hear that. So I would also say, find somebody like our amazing guest to reach out to, and but be ready to invest, because you know how I feel about it. Don't go ask somebody for stuff for free. Be ready to invest, but realize she's been where you are now. And so if she's been there and she's gone and she's lived, she already told you what her life like. She out here living all of our best lives. If she's out here doing that and that's where we want to be, then let's follow the person who has that roadmap. I don't want the roadmap for somebody else who parent gave them $1 million to start off, because my mama ain't got $1 million to give me. You know what I mean? So I think we have to be honest when we go and look for support. Yes, I love you said YouTube. Yes, you Google. Start where you have to start, get you a book, get a free webinar, join a challenge. But when you're ready to really start making moves, invest in somebody, not only who you vibe with, but who has been where you who has been where you are, and who is where you want to be, because they definitely have that roadmap. So I do want to talk about your no judgment zone, because just like Planet Fitness, I love that idea of having a place where be criticized or looked at, because I've been certain places and they like, really? I'm like, yeah, really, it's just my life. And so when you work with your clients and they're coming in with, hot mess here, hot mess there, how do you talk to them in a way that you are expressing that, it isn't a judgment and that, we can still get to the finish line?
Mm-hmm. Good question. A lot of it is just telling my story and, telling the story of, maybe some other clients that I've worked with. But I think they can just really see my sincerity and just really, I always tell them, no matter where you're starting, as long as you're still breathing, there's still time to make your dreams come true. And we gonna work as hard as we can, right? Not work hard, but you know what I'm saying? We're going to implement and we're going to put stuff in motion and put stuff in place to make that happen for you. And, like you said, it ain't going to happen in 30 days. This ain't a get rich quick thing. It's going to take some consistency and take effort, but there's light, at the end of the tunnel. And we're going to keep looking through. I've heard that saying, like, looking forward, like the mirror, the window looking forward is so much bigger than, looking in your rearview mirror. You can't drive looking in your rearview mirror. So we're going to look forward. We're not going to look at, the past mistakes and, things like that. That's over with. We're going to learn from it, right? But we're going to move forward from here.
I love that. Moving forward for sure. So when we are, working with you or working with somebody else who's doing financial investment, and we are thinking about, the idea of passive income or setting up our finances so that we aren't having to work every day for the rest of our lives. I have to explain to my husband, I don't want to work the rest of my life. What are some strategies that people are utilizing to get there? Like, what are some passive income strategies? Where should we be starting to think? And I get, obviously, she can't, y'all, you got to talk to her to know specifically for you. But in general, people be doing it. Right. It's like, hold on, this may not apply to everybody. But, what are some passive income streams that, you find your clients are being able to utilize? Or, where are we putting our money? Because I want my money to make money, like you said.
Yeah. Right. Well, of course, there's earned income and then there's passive income. And so earned is where you're trading time for dollars, pretty much, or your energy. It requires your body to be there. So the passive income streams we're going to look at, one is profit income. So that's where you have a business or you have some type of product or service that you sell and you make a profit, right? So look into that, whatever that may be. And if you're an entrepreneur, you probably are doing something of that nature already. And then there's portfolio income, and there's 3 types of portfolio income. The one is capital gains. So that's when you have any type of investment that you earn money on. So if I buy a stock at $50 and I sell it at $100, that $50 per share, that's capital gains that I have to pay. Some people invest in wine. Some people invest in gold and art, whatever. Yeah, whatever the investment is, the government is going to take their part of it. So, but that's how you make passive income. You just invest in something and you sell it and you make more money, but you got to pay a little bit of tax on that. And just secondarily, I want to say all passive income has less tax on it than earned income. So even if you get a side gig where you driving for Uber or whatever it is, that's taxed at, right, that tax rate, your earned income rate. Passive income is taxed lower. So just want to put that out there. So you have the profit income, then you have capital gains, then you have what's called dividends. That's another type of passive income. And that's when you own stocks and the company give you a little bit of the profit every quarter. And then there's interest income. And that's when you loan money to a company or the government or another business and they pay you back interest. That's a passive income stream. And then we all know rental income, right? I consider rental income a little more semi-passive, because, there's, you got to get in there and, I'm trying to rent and keep the property up and all of that sort of stuff. But there is a way to invest in rental property without actually investing in the physical property, which is called REITs. And that's another passive income stream. So you literally invest in these REITs and you get money back from the rents on a monthly basis. Then there's royalty income. So that's when you create some type of intellectual property. You have books or journals or planners or music or a course or whatever it is. You create it one time and then you get royalties from it whenever it's sold. So that's another type of income. Then there's residual. So if you have some type of that's usually paid out for those multi-level marketing type of things or insurance, something like that, where you're going to get money on a monthly basis. And then lastly, did I write them down? I think that was all of them. Yep. So that's the last one. Is that all of them? Yep. That's all of them.
Well, that was a lot of them. You should have been writing them down. Now, I'm going to say it again. Get your pen and paper out. Wind this back. And I know some people are listening are like, well, if I don't have no money, how am I do that? Well, first of all, I'm gonna bust your bubble because I was paying attention. I said, which one can they do now? The one that was about creating like a course or a planner or something like that. If you don't go open that Canva, if you don't go look at your smartphone, do something, that's something that without any extra tools, if you can watch me right now or you're listening to my voice without any extra tools, you can go and create something, even using the free version of Canva, and sell that. And that is one of the passive income streams she talked about. I totally am aware that some of the system she gave, you got to have a little bit of money to put into it, but it's building, guys. It's building. So you start where you can. And then as you have more money, you let that money work for you. And then as you get more money, you let that money work for you. So don't be discouraged because right now you rub nickels together trying to get a cheeseburger. I get it. But you got to also just you already talked about mindset. You have to have that mindset to say, I get that where I am now, I can't do everything, but I'm going to do what I can. And I'm going to make a plan. I'm going to be tapping into my resources so that I can build. Because I'm not even where I want to be, guys. Like, I'm not saying this like I'm already at the top. Like, I have so many financial plans for myself that I want to be sitting on a yacht someplace enjoying a drink and not worrying about business. Like, I love being an entrepreneur, but I really want to one day not have to be daily in my business. And so with that being said, I have to have passive income. I can't work every day in my business, but I know some of the streams she said today, I'm like, well, I ain't ready for that one, but I can make a course. I can make a course. Actually, my next step is to get some rental properties. That's one of my next steps. And I'm going to diversify that portfolio. So I love that you gave us things that we can aspire to get into. I might not be ready to buy an NFL team or something like that. I'm not ready for that. But one day, but still,
that's little steps. It's little steps. Right. And even in our businesses, I encourage people to even think of something, if it's not necessarily passive, it's a way for you to get recurring income, right? Like if you sell products, can you offer a subscription service where people are buying something every month? You know what I mean? Just even think a little, it's not passive per se, but it's recurring at least, right? So that you got something coming in, monthly memberships, whatever it is. If you can think, trying to get some money in there every month too. I just wanted to point that out. That's kind of where I start with people who are entrepreneurs. Just think of what you're doing already and how you can scale it or how you can make some month over month recurring revenue.
Yes, I love all that. So guys, there are no excuses. There are no excuses whatsoever. This podcast is all about implementation. I challenge you after every episode and you took all your notes to go and look and see what you can implement in the next 7 days. I don't care how small or how big it is. What can you do? If you're not ready to do any of the passive income steps, like she said, figure out with what you're doing, what can you do to make your package be reoccurring so that you're not every month hoping and praying and wishing that you get a new client. know that the money's coming in. You can count on it. And then their stress is not as high because you're able to focus on bringing in even more money the next month because you know that money's good. And then you can build and build and build. That's what we're about here, building from where we are in an affordable way. So everything that our guest said today was just so spot on. I thank you, one, for your transparency. Thank you for letting us know that we ain't the only people out here struggling to get where we're trying to go, but also that there is a light at the end of the tunnel, and that one day we will be able to be on a podcast talking about I'm living this life and I don't have to work. Girl, I can't wait. I cannot wait. I'm gonna be that person. I'm like, yes, I'm living this life that you wish you lived. So yes, thank you so much for your time being here today. Before we go, because I looked at the time, I went over a little bit today, y'all, because I was loving what we were talking about. But before we go, I want to give you an opportunity to let people know, one, you got a little freebie for us, but also how can people get in touch with you? Because I know they're like, Corey, just ask her. How can we get in touch with her? So let us know. But also, how can they get in touch with you once this podcast is over?
Yeah, Alicia at aliciastingley.com is, my email. But yeah, you can go right to my website, aliciastingley.com. There's a contact form there. There's also a free webinar that you can watch there. It's Create Wealth After 50 because that's my primary market. However, the principles apply to everybody. And also, as we were talking, I have a guide. And if you email me, it's supposed to be on my website, but sometime I don't know. But it's a guide, and it's called 7 Steps to Stock Market Success. And starting with less than $100. So I neglected to mention that you don't have to have gobs of money to start. You can start. You can actually start with $1 on one of these platforms. And I have a guide that outlines for you how you can get started, even if it's, a little bit every month. And I think that's very important.
Oh, sign me up. Look, I'm sitting here like, send it to me. I'm trying to be with you in retirement. I'm not even trying to wait. They said, what's a new retirement age? 60 something, 70 something. It's crazy.
67, I think.
Yeah, they done made it higher. Like, no.
Keep going higher and higher. Yep.
Let's retire at 50. I ain't even gonna lie. I want to retire where I still can enjoy myself. I still can run around and do all the things.
Absolutely.
So that's my goals. I will be signing up for the free class, and I would love to get my hands on the starting now thing that you said at the very end as well. But you said in order for us to get it, we got to go and either email you or go to your website. So that's on the screen, but guys, it's also in the show notes. As I always say with our guests, because I know they're always top tier, don't let this be the last time that you hear their voice. They have social media. You can follow them there. I stalk everybody's social media pages because they give so much information, but also reach out, book a call with them when you are ready, when you're ready to do the work, and let's get it going. There's room for all of us. We can all celebrate. We can get with Alicia and celebrate in a couple of years when we out here having some passive income. We not stressed thinking about month to month, bills and things like that. So let's do that. Let's work. Let's grow. Let's invest. Let's invest in each other. Like I said, I ain't got to say, but I'm gonna look, let's invest in each other and let's make this thing happen. So thank you so much for being on this podcast, guys. Thank you for listening to this episode. Look, guys, thank you for being on the podcast, but also, guys, thank you for listening. And remember that I rock, you rock, we all rock, and we will see you next episode.
And that's a wrap on another episode of IROC Business with Confidence podcast. Thank you so much for tuning in and joining our journey into the world of entrepreneurship. If today's episode inspired you or just gave you the tools to tackle your next business challenge, we'd love your support. Please like, share, follow, subscribe, and rate us with a glowing 5 stars. And don't forget to leave us a review. Are you an entrepreneur with a unique perspective, expertise, or actionable strategies that our audience can implement today to advance their entrepreneurial journey? We're always on the lookout for guests who are ready to share their stories and insights. If that's you, please reach out to us. Remember, entrepreneurship isn't just about the destination, it's about the journey. And here at IROC Business with Confidence, we're here to journey with you. Until next time, keep rocking your business with confidence. We can't wait to see where your entrepreneurship journey takes you